dashboard here. Oh, it's so cold and wet. And if I put my arm up, you can see how truly massive that elephant was. He was standing right here, and he was actually standing over there where it's lower than where I was standing. There we go. Oh, the grass is so cold and wet. Oh, there we go. Good morning, morning glory. Beautiful flower. And pop it behind my ear for the rest of the drive. Hopefully it's going to bring us some cheetah luck. Oh, did it fall out? No, it didn't. It's still there. Okay, so we're going to let that Ellie bull wander. I think he's going to wander through to the next open area. So while he does that, we're going to wander down to the southern open area, have a look for those cheetah, and hopefully by the time we've done our big loop, checked on Gnormless Gnorman, the GNU, we will hopefully catch him on the next big open area. Very well done to Nina and Sage, who got the eagle question correct. The how many snake eagles? Sorry, I'm hooked on something here. Oh, there we go. The snake eagle question: how many different species of snake eagle do we get in this part of the Sabi Sands? And the answer is 3. So Nina and Sage, you're spot on. It is the brown snake eagle, the Bateleur, and the black-breasted snake eagle, which we don't see that often of. On live, I think we've only seen them twice. I have. I'm sure some of the other presenters have also seen them. But there we go. So 3 in total. And of course, Bateleur is the one that doesn't have snake eagle in its name. Oh, it is absolutely gorgeous down here this morning. Even though there's not that much sort of in terms of animal life at the moment. It's a hyena track. I got excited thinking we had cheetah tracks for a second. Now, the cheetah were seen in Buffalo's Hook last night, heading southwest. So if they haven't arrived down here yet, there's a strong possibility they might be here on the sunset safari. Now, where's Manfred gone? Manfred, our mantis, was around, but it seems like James has got something else that likes the dashboards of our vehicles. Let's go have a look.
Right, well, the hyena has done absolutely nothing to entertain us at all. She's gone even deeper into that den, which makes me even more suspicious that maybe she's got a little baby in there. But isn't that the most wonderful coloured dragonfly? He's just... oh, he's back again? He's back again? We so seldom, as VM said, get to see these things because they're normally flitting about the place. Now let's see if we can see if that's a male or a female. The male should have claspers on the back of the abdomen that he clasps the female behind the back of the head with. And I don't know if you know this, but what happens is, let's pretend this is a female, the male would come along and grab her behind the head. You can see there where the head joins onto the thorax, where the wings are. You can see there's a gap there. He'd grab her there and then fly off with her in tow. And that he would grab her with the claspers on the back of his tail, so they'd be flying sort of tail to head, if you like. Then what she will do, look at her cleaning in the sun, cleaning her eyes. What she will do is then bend her abdomen around to touch his abdomen on the underside, and that's how they sort of exchange fluids, if you like, he will. What will happen? Yeah, she will pick up his sperm cells, and then she'll fly off. He'll eventually let her go, and she'll fly off, and she'll drop her eggs into the tips or onto the surface of water. I don't know what kind of dragonfly this is. I will quickly look in my book. I say most of my books are in the tent at the moment, so I don't have them with me. And apparently some of you referring to it as a helicopter bug. I must say I think that's a rather good description of a dragonfly, a helicopter bug. They're very helicopterish, I must say. Right, the dragonflies. Let me see if I can't find this one. There are not that many species, but that particular one does not occur here. It's not in my book, I'm afraid. Beautiful black, and of course, and yellow. Excellent colour combination, I find. Very nice. Brent apparently has got now a dove that is fairly rare. I'm going to suspect that it is a fairly rare dove from a place that has lots of flowers.
Well, it is a female Namakwa dove, which could definitely be a new one for a lot of bird lists. They are the smallest, or one of the smallest species of dove we get here. Slightly bigger than an emerald spotted wood dove. It's snuck around the corner. I'm just going to try. But I've seen them a lot of times, but this is the first time I've ever got one on camera. They normally take off too quickly, so we're going to very cautiously stalk that female Namakwa dove. I was hoping there might be a male around as well. There she is. So they do occur in this area, but they're normally more common in slightly more arid areas. So you can see very long tail. They do have dark spots, almost black spots, like the wood doves do. So I've never put these live on camera before. I'm not sure what any of the other presenters have, so I'm quite excited. It's definitely a great bird for the February list. Oh, it saw something it liked. Now, hopefully we're going to be able to find a male as well. Oh, off he goes. Now, I'm going to say the male is slightly prettier than the female. So there we go, he's got that wonderful black face mask. And the beak's got a bit more colour. As you can see, the female, just a black beak. The male's got a yellow and red beak with that beautiful black face mask. But still a female, I'll take it. And now, Brian is wondering whether doves and pigeons are related. They are related, not that closely, but they are definitely related. We don't get too many pigeon species out here. There's always a chance of the olive pigeon, but they generally prefer slightly wetter areas, slightly more forested areas, so closer to the mountains. And strange enough, the only pigeon I've ever seen in the Sabi Sands is they call it a rock pigeon or a rock dove, I think, in Europe, but here we call it the feral pigeon, the same one that can be found in every one of the large cities of the world. Well, we are arriving on the southern open plains, and there is an impala, and there's Gnormlin. Hello, Gnormlin. All the impalas dashing off, so we'll go straight to Gnormlin. So it looks like the herd of buffalo that was hanging around here for a few days has moved off. Oh, I've got some more elephants as well. So let's go to Gnormlin first, and then we'll go to the Ellies. Well, I suppose Gnormlin's not going to move as much. There's Gnormlin, the Gnormless, on his patch. A little bit, there we go. hoping for the ladies to arrive. And the Eddies, it looks like a little breeding herd. I can just see a female and a calf, so let's go a bit closer to them. I've actually seen this female before, and I've never seen her as part of a larger herd. I've always seen just her and her calf, the two of them together. And actually, I've seen them probably about 3 or 4 times on cheetah plains and in this particular area. I'm just gonna move towards the trees. Hi Kim. Kim would like to know, do wrinkles indicate the elephant's age? Not at all, Kim. Kim, some of our long-time viewers will tell you, we had a very beautiful, very wrinkly baby elephant who I nicknamed Mr. Wrinkly Bottom. And we also had another one that we nicknamed Benjamin Button. There we go. Here's this female. She's got one tusk. And as I said, I've never seen her as part of a bigger herd. I've always ever just seen her and her baby together. The baby's just off in the bush. We can't see it from here. And obviously we're not going to push her just so we can see the little one. Eddies really seem to be enjoying all that lovely grass. There's the baby. So, for some reason, she doesn't seem as relaxed as I've seen her in the past. Hey, behave yourself. Sorry, old girl. We're not going to stay with her. She normally is very relaxed. As I've said, I've seen this elephant multiple times. And just the fact that she displayed like that, now her tail's swinging around happily. And as I said, she is secreting quite heavily from her pre-orbital glands. Now, I don't want to move the vehicle now just in case she gets a fright. There we go, Craig. She's going to pop out in the open there. I just want to also make sure she doesn't try to sneak behind. And if we see on the side of her head, you can see, so it's secretion. That can be a sign of stress or hormones. Oh, here comes the little one as well. But so, though she displayed at me, lifted her head and took a few steps towards, and there's the little one. Now, the reason I'm not moving the car now is if I had to start the car and move off quite quickly, it might cause her to chase the car. So there's obviously something that's happened that might make her not as relaxed as normal. So I said, and with the elephant behavior, it all completely depends on the situation. So we don't know what could happen. That big bull might have been harassing her earlier, so that might mean she's a little bit grumpy. And the fact that she's not in a bigger herd, she might have lost her bigger herd. I mean, I've only been seeing her for about the last month or so. Or she's chosen to move off from the herd. Maybe it's too stressful. So we're going to let them disappear. And now she's going to turn around. I'm just going to make sure there's enough distance between us and her before we move on. Okay, there we go. They're going to move on. We're going to do the same. I think we're going to go see if we can find that big bull again. He was very nice and relaxed. We're going to give this female her space so she doesn't take any negative from our interaction with her. And hopefully the next time we see her, she'll be nice and relaxed again. But while we do that, it seems like Stef has found the killer of husbands.
These links from Brent every now and again are just... they're bizarre. We need to be able to record them, put them into a book one day. What you are looking at is a stick, and inside this stick is a predator that absolutely does kill the male when it comes down to mating. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes. And it's usually the immature males that get eaten rather than the adult males. But have you figured out what's inside here yet? Let's see if you can see it. I'm going to be putting, there, you can see it, there we go, wobbling its leg. This stick is, oh, there we go, he's jumped. This stick is alive. This is one of those stick-like praying mantises. And he's just, we've been watching him now for about 10 minutes. You see him? He's now looking at you. Every time I see one of these guys, I just cannot help but think that they are so suited to their color of their surroundings that they have to either be able to change the way they look and the way they behave to suit different, just different times of the year, or they're very niche specific. In other words, this particular praying mantis only hunts these patches of dead grass and fallen down sticks, which there's an overabundance of, but it sort of challenges my belief in stuff to think that they are just totally dependent on the fact that there's dead grass and sticks lying around. I mean, what happens if there's a fire or a particularly wet year? Or how does this this praying mantis survive? Now, it's not uncommon for praying mantises to be able to change color. So I have no doubt that this particular praying mantis, although I've never read anything about it, could probably, to some degree or another, mimic the color of its surroundings to match it almost perfectly. So, like some fish can do, and like quite a lot of insects can do, I think that they can subtly change the texture and the color of their skin to suit this particular, or their exoskeleton to suit this particular type of environment that they're in. The color is just too perfect a match, really. This particular praying mantis will be they don't really hunt through a canopy so much as just wait for something to come by and then snatch it out of either the air or off of the stick that this praying mantis is hunting from. Now, the way we found it was, as we were busy walking, the praying mantis moved from the one stick to the other, and so we managed to see it moving. Otherwise, this would have been pretty much invisible. Now, Brian, you've asked me an interesting question, and one that I only have answered literally last year. You asked me, will a praying mantis kill a large spider? And the answer to that question is an absolute yes. But I only figured that out last year. I was busy walking around on top of quarantine on a phone call, and I was watching a praying mantis hunt a spider. But what they do is they wait for the spider to pass, and then they grab the spider from about a 45-degree angle from the back. So very similar to how lion hunt buffalo. They don't charge in from exactly behind them because of the flailing hooves. They sort of come at it from the haunch, from the side. And what's amazing to me was the fact that these praying mantis exhibited the same thing as a large predator like a lion, in that they know where the dangerous part of these animals is at the front. And they're able to adapt their attack angle, their attack vector, to make sure that they come in from a blind side but can't get kicked and are staying away from the sharp fangs. It's just absolutely incredible how there's these links and bridges to different things all the time. Really good. Linda, you've just asked me a question there before. I didn't quite get it. Just a bit of a scratchy communication. Oh, you've asked what the tapping of its foot is. So what this praying mantis is doing every now and again is you're seeing that foot is busy moving. And Linda, you've commented on that, and it's basically just trying to get a better grip on the branch that it was at. It wasn't sitting well, and its one leg kept on slipping off of the branch, and it was him just searching, or her just searching with that back leg to find another, there we go. So that's just, that movement, that swaying, is just this praying mantis trying to get a better grip on this particular branch. Not really used as a type of lure or anything like that. They tend to keep those displays for those front legs. So for these grasping legs here, some praying mantises, especially the males that have to approach females, will use those grasping legs in a courtship display, and also to try and placate the female, to make him look less like food and more like a mate. And as Brent quite rightly said, the females will eat the males, especially if the male acts like food and less like a male. Now, Tiffany, you just asked me, will praying mantises bite or grasp people? Yes, they do. Although it's not very common, they can inflict quite a nasty strike with their front legs, and also they can bite. but only if you really manhandle them quite harshly will they do that to you. I remember when I was a young boy, and I must have been about 6 or 7 years old, there was a praying mantis in my bathtub, and I went to lean into the bathtub to grab the praying mantis, and I couldn't understand where the sharp pain all of a sudden came from. When I opened up my hand, the praying mantis had struck with his leg and buried. They've got quite a sharp point on the end of their front leg, and it buried this point into my finger. It wasn't sore, it was just a surprise. You know, you don't expect something like a praying mantis to be able to do something like that, but he did in any case. This praying mantis is really, I don't think he's in the best area here. I don't quite know what he's hunting for. Flies probably, because there's a million of them around us. Oh, very cool. What's happening to your leg here? But he's got himself quite stretched out. Now, Eric, you've asked me a question, Derek, you've asked me a question about how many praying mantis species reside in South Africa. Eric, you know, I read this fact literally a couple of weeks ago in a book that I have on praying mantises. You'd be surprised to know that it's just a couple of hundred. There's not a lot of praying mantis species in South Africa, in actual fact. I was expecting it to be a couple of thousand, maybe even a couple of tens of thousands, but it's not. I was very surprised that at the exact number being in the hundreds, although for the life of me, as I'm sitting over here now, I cannot remember the exact number of praying mantis species that there are, but they're not that diverse. They're very diverse in terms of form and where you find them and what they're hunting and where in the canopy they are. You got from green ones to ones that look like leaves to ones that look like sticks like this, even ones that look like flowers. But in this particular case, the praying mantises don't have a lot of speciation. I'm not quite sure why. It's just not a very diverse insect order at all, which is a surprise for me in actual fact. Something that just caught my eye over here is this piece of grass. Now, we'll leave our praying mantis for now, we'll leave him to go hunting. This is a grass that you find in disturbed areas around here. Oh, it's got the most unbelievable smell. Pick it. I'm going to pick the whole grass. But this is called turpentine grass. And it has a seed, quite an oily seed, that has a lot of turpentine oil in it. Now we all know that turpentine oil is quite flammable, but it's also got that very sharp chemical smell. And this grass has exactly that very sharp chemical smell, and it actually, you can taste it if you chew it as well. It is very distasteful. Very sharp, almost like you've licked turpentine. But from a bushcraft point of view, this grass is very important from a fire starting perspective. So if you find this grass and you're lucky enough to get some of it, a good idea is just to fold it up and put it into your pocket, and you keep it there as a dry piece of tinder. That turpentine oil is highly flammable, and it takes a spark like no other grass out here does. So very good from bushcraft point of view. So I'll be keeping that for later use. Absolutely. All right. And on that note, and while I probably take out my water bottle to wash out the turpentine from my mouth, I'm going to send you over to James, who's on his way to something quite special.
Well, not special just yet, everyone. We're on our way down towards an open area on this road. Nobody's still with her, but the Styx Lioness, or one of the Styx Lionesses, is apparently down here. So let's go and have a look and see. There's a couple of alarm calling birds, but I don't see anything of great import there. There's a sort of sodic area just up ahead here that she was left in, and I'm pretty sure she'd have moved into the shade by now, although it's not hot yet. Perhaps it's the mother, and perhaps she's with the two cubs. That would be nice. Right, it was around, well, I can see tracks around here. Let's just keep an eye out on both sides of the road. I see a lion anywhere. Jim? I think the open area is here in front of us. There's quite a lot of vehicle activity around here. Perhaps they were moving around a bit this morning. There's also one male lion. The Birmingham boys seem to have sort of exploded. And I don't mean that permanently, I just mean that they've gone in different directions. There's one on Biffles Hook. There's one up somewhere around what we call Second Windmill Road here on Arathusa. And there are tracks of another knocking about on Torchwood. So they're obviously, I don't know what's going on. Either they're females and estrus from all the different prides that they operate with, or they sort of split their forces in order to maintain territory a bit more effectively. I ain't seen no lion just yet. No, every single day we do the northern boundary patrol. Tax and Aubrey are back at Vulture, so they've been going and checking inside Biffles Hook, and the answer is no, they're in the southern Manuleti somewhere, and why they're there I'm not sure. I think it's because the buffalo are there. I'm pretty sure that's why they're there, and yeah, we haven't heard anything of them for some time, and they're operating in an area where there's very little sort of tourist activity. And so that's probably why they haven't been seen. I thought that was a lion, but it wasn't. It was a stump. There were 7 lionesses, as I said yesterday. 7 lionesses found on Biffles Hook about 2 days ago. And that was very odd, because we think that's the Torchwood Pride, who I don't think we've ever met, have we? I've certainly never met them with you. Here is the open area. And they were have now incurred into the territory of the Nkuhumas, which is quite strange. Right. Do we have any sign of a lion? Which is a bit irritating that there doesn't seem to be a lion here. We'll just head gently down here and have a look, and then turn around and go down the other way. She may have gone into the drainage system. I suspect she probably has. Probably because the little ones are here. To Brent and get an update from him.
Yeah, well, that Ellie hasn't popped out yet, but we've made our way towards Buff Pan, and I just want to have a quick look on the edge here. No tracks around, but there's another wonderful weaver colony in the leadwood in the middle of the water there. So a nice, unfortunately the light's a bit bad from this angle, but a village weaver colony and a buffalo weaver colony in the same tree. Always busy, busy, busy around the weavers. Now, we're heading towards the northern boundary of Cheetah Plains, and fingers crossed that those cheetah are still on the move and coming. Oh. What did we fall into? An elephant track, I think. No, just a hole in the road. Now, this is one of my favorite areas in all of our traverse, this area around Buff Pan. And I mean, look at the size of this false marula here. It is absolutely gorgeous. Massive false marula. And one of the fun scientific names to say, Lania schweinfurthii. Now, the trees in this area I just absolutely adore, and you got this big lania, you got massive leadwoods all around, and very good grazing grass in this area as well. As you can see, the soil changes color. We get into this red soil, and red soil is almost always a good indicator of a good quality soil. unless it's red sand, and it's not so good. But red soil, so there's quite a bit of iron in the soil, and that's where the reddish comes from, or the red color comes from. And you'll often find that a lot of the trees can often be quite a bit bigger in an area like this, and you get trees like this. Like there's an African ebony growing out in the middle of the bush here. It's not on the edge of a drainage line, and so it's just a sign of good soils. I can hear where they. I can hear a bunch of bee eaters, and the light's in a bad spot for them. Oh, they've taken off. They were in that knobthorn. We'll see European bee eaters. I'm quite jealous of that carmine Jamie saw yesterday. I've only seen one very bedraggled looking one. Oh, look at that. A squirrel sunning himself in the... Oh, there are two squirrels. There we go. Right in that V there's a squirrel warming up. You can see it draped out over the dead knobthorn there. Looking very comfortable. Oh, see, it's still blinking awake. Isn't that cute? Now, we're going to leave the very cute squirrel, and we're going to go across to James, who's got something that I don't think is very cute at the moment.
There we are, everybody, the two Styx Lionesses, and they're in exactly the same place. I'm just going to quickly tell you that we have found the carcass of that dog. It has not been eaten. We'll just quickly give you a view. I'm just going to show you where it is. Don't worry, there's nothing gory about it. It's just, you'll just see a sort of discoloured piece of the grass there. There it is. Now, if you have just joined us, or perhaps you weren't watching yesterday, these lionesses snuck up on the Investec pack of dogs. They were around here yesterday with Brent. They were having a wonderful sighting. And this is what happens with lions. They often do this with wild dogs. They snuck up, and the rest of the pack got away. But one of them got pinned behind the bushes over there, and was unfortunately caught by one of these lionesses, and she killed it almost immediately. So that was a very difficult thing to see, and it resulted in a whole lot of mixed emotions for lions in general. And of course, lions just do what lions do. They wouldn't be the most dominant predator of Africa if they didn't behave the way that they do behave. Now, that lioness there that you're looking at, I think, is heavily pregnant. Aqua, I'm sorry, I'm just struggling to understand your question. I'm going to ask for it again. Sounds like a good one. Aqua, you asking if a wild dog from an unrelated pack found the carcass of that wild dog, would it attack it? Is that correct, Kirsten? Aqua, I think they'd react, certainly. They don't like each other when they come across strange packs. The interaction can often be quite violent, and I don't think they'd do anything with that dead dog, though. I think they'd be probably much more worried because they'd smell lion around here, and I think they'd leave it alone. I'm quite interested that they didn't eat it. And it's not unusual for lions to eat other predators. It's not unusual for all predators to eat other predators out here. But they haven't eaten that dog, and they've just left it there. And isn't it? It seems like such a waste, doesn't it? But in terms of the ecosystem out here, of course it isn't. That's how it functions. That's how it has functioned. And that is how the dynamic equilibrium, which is, I think, a better way of terming balance, if you like. That's how the dynamic equilibrium of this place has been maintained for millennia. Lions have been the dominant predator. They've kept everything else in check. I don't think these are the same two that were found here earlier today, because they mentioned only one, and I wonder if the other lioness isn't somewhere perhaps feeding cubs. I don't know. I mean, this one looks like she's lactating, so I don't know where the little ones might be. They could be close by in the bushes. But as well as being very fat and perhaps pregnant, they've definitely eaten something. And again, I'm just every time I see these Styx Lionesses, I'm struck by how different they are from the Nkuhumas. You would never confuse them. If you saw that Styx Lioness next to one of our Nkuhuma Lionesses, you'd recognize immediately that she just wasn't from the pride. So interesting how individual they look when you spend this amount of time around them. You know, if you drive through Kruger and you see a lioness, well, you know, one lioness tends to blend into the next because they look relatively similar. But because of the amount of time we spend around these cats, it becomes relatively easy to see the differences. And of course, because lionesses in a pride are normally very closely related, you'll find that they look very similar. And these two do look similar. And the Nkuhuma lionesses look pretty similar. There's one who's got a slightly longer face than the others, and one who's got slightly narrower eyes than the others. But they do look similar, and they look very different from these two, I think. And I'm not normally actually very good at recognizing these sorts of things. But on these lions, there is definitely a difference. Heat of the day, they are probably what will eat that wild dog. Lauren, I don't think so. I think they're from one litter. You say, do the Styx Lionesses have one cub each? No. I think that lioness that we're looking at now is the mother of both of them. And interestingly, she seems to have only had 2 cubs, which is a small number for a lioness. Unless she lost one very early on, we've only ever known this litter with 2 little cubs. The other easily recognizable thing about these lionesses, of course, is the one that, not that one, the other one has got a skinny pom-pom. She doesn't have a fully fledged pom-pom on the end of her tail. I think she's probably lost it, actually. It looks like it was kind of gone in a fight. But it still looks like a cub's tail. Inga, you say the Styx Lionesses look beefy. Are they stocky? They're definitely, I would agree with you, Inga. I would say they're stockier than the Nkuhumas. Perhaps slightly shorter, but definitely stockier. The Nkuhumas are really, I mean, I've sort of used this analogy before, but the Nkuhumas are elegant almost, taller, and more, well, I mean, I hesitate to use this term, given that there is some aspersions being cast about how I feel about lions. But the Nkuhumas are kind of the uptown lions, if you like, and these guys are the kind of, what would we say? Let's say they're, I don't want to use the term wrong side of the tracks, but they're, I don't know, they don't have the same sort of executive vibe about them, I don't find. They're scrappier. They've had a harder life. They've had a tougher time of it. And so that's made them kind of tough and streetwise. Doesn't that look streetwise to you, Vim?
Sleeping in the road.
Sleeping in the road. She knows about streets. Right, we're going to sit here for a little longer, see if the others come out of here. Stef has got a predator, one of his favourite predators, actually.
Well, we've managed to find another one of these golden orb-web spiders, and this one is a little bit bigger than the ones we found previously. Now, if you're new to Safari Live, you'll know that we're getting quite excited about these golden orb-web spiders because the drought from last year really took their toll on these particular spiders, and they literally went locally extinct almost to 1 or 2 sporadic sightings last year. So far, this is the 5th spider this year, this rainy season, that I've heard of and found, and it's just so nice to see them coming back in and looking quite healthy. Not the healthiest golden orb-web spider I've ever seen. You can tell that by the quite thin abdomen. When they're nice and full, that abdomen goes round almost. It looks like a very full orange. So she'd still, and I know it's a she, but it's only the female spin webs like this elaborate web. So she's still got a while to go, but there's a lot of the season still left. She'll probably be able to feed right up until the end of April roundabout, beginning of May, before it starts to get to a critical point where she's going to need to lay her eggs, and she will eventually die. Unfortunately, the first of the cold weather will come through here, and her egg sac will be on the branches of this tree somewhere, and then around about November, December, her babies will hatch and fly with the wind all over the place, dispersing into this bush here, and eventually seeding the next generation of golden orb-web spiders. Don't you just love those bottle brush legs that she's got? I just love these spiders. Very timid spiders. They quite often react to you just walking up to them. If you do it too fast, they'll run for cover. They don't bite whatsoever. I think their bold coloration probably means that they're distasteful, or at least they are mimicking something that's distasteful, but they haven't got a venom that is particularly dangerous for people whatsoever. In actual fact, you can let these spiders walk on your hands. They quite often crawl over you. I've never been bitten by one in all the years I've been around here. They've always been one of those spiders that are much more fearsome to look at than they are of any real danger to people. Very elaborate web. So she strung this web between these 2 trees. There are entanglement snares. So where she's sitting right now is a vertical orb web, so circular web. But before and on that side, there she goes. She's going to catch a fly. Come now. Let's see. There she's tugging on there. So that tugging was to get that fly to move. There we've got a fly. There she bites it, distangles it now from her web, turns around and comes back up to the center. Isn't that awesome? Well done. That was very, very, very cool. And there she goes and puts herself back into the middle of her web with her legs on strands, specific strands. Let's see what she's going to do. She's going to wrap it up. Yep. So she's now wrapping it up using silk that came out the back of her abdomen just to subdue it. And she'll probably finish it right now. I can't see from my angle what she's doing with it, but it looks like she's holding it in her teeth. Flies generally are consumed almost on the spot. She will literally eat everything and discard just the wings. Now, the larger the prey, the larger the refuse that she collects. And quite often these spiders, as they get a little bit bigger and deeper into the season, will have these quite well-developed refuse lines that they have inside their webs. And a lot of people think it's a way to hide the egg case. It could also be a visual marker for animals to see, hang on, wait, there's something here, and walk around rather than walk through the web. So it saves her a bit of energy in having to repair the web every time a buffalo or an elephant or a kudu or something walks through here. I quite like the latter. I quite like the fact that they'll use these refuse lines as visual markers to stop animals from walking through. She doesn't have any at the moment, so I think that she's just been here for a little bit. Very good. Her web just looks like it's been built so fantastically well. So she's got these trip lines. They're here and on that side closer to you now, and they basically will break the fall of a big insect. So a big locust comes in here, and rather than fly at full velocity through her web, it'll be entangled in these snares and eventually get stuck in that vertical, very sticky orb web. And that orb is incredibly sticky, and it'll get wrapped up there, entangling its legs. She'll be able to dart in. Oh, there's another fly. Come now, let's see. Pluck, pluck. Just to see where it is. She obviously can't see it, so she has to feel for it. There you go. There you go. Jeff, you've asked why she positions herself upside down. That's actually a good question, Jeff. Most of these orb spiders from the genus Nephila, like she is, and even the garden orb spiders, position themselves head down. Why that is, I'm not so sure. The only thing that I can think of right now while I'm talking to you is if in an emergency she has to parachute out of her web, it's much easier for her to anchor a line, a piece of silk using the back of her abdomen, and then just drop out of the tree with the web streaming out behind her. If she was facing the other way, she'd actually have to jump away from her web to try and get herself away from her own sticky line. And I think what will happen there is she runs the risk of getting entangled. So being upside down like this allows her a quick exit using an anchor line rather than being the other way around where she'd have to climb up to a branch or jump away from this anchor line itself to stop getting entangled in it. So but that's just my opinion on it, Jeff. What the actual reason is, it might just be a specific trait of this spider. I'm quite happy to be shedding the flies that are following us around now to the spider, to be honest. It's quite nice. Now, Anna Marie, you've just asked me, or you've just made a comment saying that you always get confused between the garden orb and the golden orb web spider, and could I help you differentiate? Anna Marie, the biggest differentiator is the abdomen. So let me get a piece of grass so that we're all on the same page with regards to what an abdomen is. The abdomen is the back end of the spider, so it would be this bulbous end here. So this back end of the spider, on a golden orb web spider, it's smooth. The margin is smooth. On a garden orb web spider, she's going to kill another one of these flies. You go, girl. On a garden orb web spider, the abdomen is more rounded, but it's got serrations on it. It's almost like a serrated end. So hers is smooth. A garden orb web spider is serrated. It's got these toothed margins. I think we're giving this spider a fantastic breakfast. So I hope that helped you there with that. So as you can see, smooth, that's golden orb. When it's got turrets on it, or when it looks like it's serrated, then it's a garden orb web spider. Another useful characteristic is that when you see golden orb web spiders, the legs on a golden orb web spider, you can see all 8 like this. On a garden orb web spider, excuse me, I'm getting entangled in her web here. A garden orb web spider groups her legs out in a cross, so 2 this way, 2 this way, 2 this way, 2 this way. But the easiest is the abdomen. Now, Brendan, you asked how many insects would the spider need to catch to stay healthy today? Brendan, as many as she can, and even when she can't and she's full to bursting, every time she catches something she'll larder it and keep it for later, for a day that she doesn't catch. So I think they're just opportunistic, to be honest with you, Brendan. I think that the most part what these spiders do is catch as many insects as they can over a season. They will eat as many as their metabolism allows them to eat, and as soon as they're large enough to lay their eggs, they do, and get it over and done with. They'll pick up condition for the rest of the season. They of course don't willingly want to die, and they don't die as soon as they lay their eggs, but the first very cold snap that comes through here will kill most of these spiders. with a few lasting, you know, a couple of weeks more. But that first little bit of winter is devastating for spiders, and hopefully they've reached enough of a metabolic threshold that they can actually invest in making eggs, and that there's a male around that is able to fertilize those eggs as well. This particular spider doesn't have any males in it. Yesterday we had a garden orb spider with a male. It's not uncommon to have male spiders in these webs. It's not uncommon to have multiple male spiders in these webs, but she hasn't got any suitors just yet. Good luck. I hope she does get some. Oh, she's just beautiful. She'll do some maintenance on her web probably throughout the day. There's not too many big holes in it, to be honest. Jeff, you've asked me if these spiders ever attack humans. Let me put it to you this way, Jeff. When you're driving your vehicle through here at night time and you've got 6 or 10 guests on the back of your car, and it's one of those years where these spiders are just everywhere, yes, it feels like they're attacking you. You drive through a gap in a tree like this, following leopard or lion, and you have these spiders walking over you, walking over your head. It's terrifying. It might seem like you're being attacked by these spiders, but no. These spiders are sedentary. They're web living, and they are very, very timid. They don't like biting whatsoever. You could probably pick the spider up with your hands, which most spiders will not like, and you could put it in your hand. She still would be reluctant to bite. So they don't bite, they don't hunt people, they don't come out of their webs to attack us. The only time that they have anything to do with humans is when we're driving or running through the bush and you just happen to run through their web and get one of these pulled along with it. So that's about the only time that would happen. She is beautiful though. So Sarah, you wanted to know if you can see the other side of the spider. You're absolutely welcome. It's going to take a little bit of genre maneuvering around this tree, so if you just give us a little bit of time. Does it look good? Looks nice, eh? What is apparent on these young spiders are those fluffy legs and that banded coloration, that red and black coloration. And that is why I think that these spiders are distasteful, at least are mimicking a distasteful spider. Those red, black and yellow bands are called aposomatic coloring. And it means that I'm poisonous or I'm distasteful, or at least trying to mimic something that is poisonous or distasteful. She doesn't eat any insects. She will eat insects that are poisonous, but I don't think that she has any way of collecting their venoms and toxins into her own body. So I think it's just probably a bit of a mimicry rather than her actually being distasteful. If you are scared of spiders though, she is going to be gruesome. Hopefully I've made you like them a little bit more. Alright, why don't we send you over to Brent for an update.
Okay, so we got some interesting news. I was on Chitwa and then I shot off. Rexon said he saw vultures dropping back on Djuma, so there could be something potentially there. So I'm trying to get into that area as quickly as possible. So who knows what could be there? I mean, that's the joy of a live safari. We do not know what is around the next bend. And remember, if you want to ask any questions, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV. And he said somewhere around Weaver's Nest. So maybe those dogs came back. We found their tracks going south, or maybe Karula's around. And oh, hold on, we're gonna just go through here. Wee up. Okay. Always a quick scan for Karula in this area. She does like to cross here. Rex, I'm approaching Weaver from Gary. Are those vultures still? Oh, there we go, Craig's. Okay, we're going to go across to James quickly.
All right. Alrighty, we're going to leave these lionesses, I think, or maybe let's sit with them another 5 minutes. We've come around the other side. I just did a little loop around, see if I could find the other one and perhaps the cubs, but I haven't seen anything further. So let's sit here for 5 minutes, and if you've got any questions or you want to discuss perhaps a little bit more about the traumatic events of yesterday afternoon, well, then we can do that. But then we're going to press on and see what else we can find. We'll probably pop around to Arathusa waterhole, see what's going on there. I don't believe there's any water there, so that's quite interesting, even after the rain we've had. It just goes to show how bad the drought was last year. But then I think we'll press on and see what else we can find. There is heat starting to build now, which is 8 o'clock in the morning, I suppose, which is when the heat starts to build, and the vultures have taken off. VM, can you see those ones up there? Shall I back up a bit? Kim, you say lions move a lot when they sleep, or they're dreaming of the hunt. I don't know if they dream. I mean, you know, we know dogs dream, obviously, and perhaps lions dream of the hunt. I imagine there must be an element of that. Kim, there are two main reasons I think that lions move when they sleep. One is flies. I think flies irritate them a huge amount, so they flick their tails and flick their ears. The other is security. Although they are the dominant predator out here, and although they sleep more soundly than any other predator, they still have to keep looking up. Any strange noise that they don't recognize, they will lift their heads. They wake up very quickly. And that's what's going on when you see them moving. Kim, although you say they move a lot, I think they move far less than any other predators out here. It's just because they've got much less to worry about. Alrighty, I think we're going to move on from here and go and see what else we can find, if that's alright with you. We can still discuss anything you'd like to about them, but they ain't going nowhere. Well, maybe we'll be lucky enough to find the little cubs somewhere around here. Perhaps they've been taken off to the waterhole, except the waterhole doesn't have any water in it, and there are two very nice little puddles here that they can drink from. So I'm not sure. And the great mystery of the Nkuhumas continues. We have heard not hide nor hair. 3 people up in Buffelshoek today, looking around there. Nothing. Nothing at all. And I suspect that they have... I wonder if there hasn't been some pressure on the Talamati pride. Remember, we were talking about them, I don't know if you do remember, last year. They spent quite a lot of time coming down onto Buffelshoek, and we'd speak about them. I don't think we ever saw them, except maybe once at Sydney's Dam. We perhaps got a long distance view of them. And I wonder if something hasn't happened to them. Perhaps got a long distance view of them. And I wonder if something hasn't happened to them, and perhaps they've moved off, and that's why the Nkuhumas have headed, or felt safer heading north, following the herds of buffalo onto the Gabbro plains of the southern Manyeleti. That sounds quite romantic, doesn't it? I don't know why the word plain has got such a romantic feel about it. The plains of the Manyeleti. Like a steam train. Yes, a steam train is what do you mean it has a romantic feel about it? It does, yes. Do you like ships as well as, you like steam trains as well as ships, Vim? All sorts of vehicles, including your Kia Sportage. One day I think we should do a Safari Live story on Vim's vehicle and his caravan. There is a Nyala. Now, Brendan, we've been looking at a small pride of lions, and we're now looking at a Nyala, but that's okay. You say, how many lionesses can a pride support? Brendan, you find in this area, once a pride goes above sort of 20 to 24 animals, it tends to split. And that's not an aggressive split, it just becomes too difficult to feed all the mouths. And that's the general rule out here. Brent, you talks often of what was known as a mega pride of 30 around where he used to work at Singita Labombo, and they too, I suspect, would have split fairly soon after that, but they had a great deal of buffalo there, I think, that they used to eat. And so if there's enough prey available, then they will maintain a big pride size like that. But often sort of 20 to 24 is about as big as they will get before they split. It seems to be about the maximum that they like to look after. 30 lions is a huge number of mouths to feed. I mean, if you consider that a lion, let's work that out. Let's say they're all relatively adult, a lion can potentially eat around 20% of its body weight in one sitting. So let's work out the mass of lions. Let's say that they're all relatively light lions, and with youngsters averaging at about 100 kilograms each, times 30. We're looking at 3 tons of lion eating 20% of their body weight. Well, 20% of 3 tons of lion is 600 kilograms of meat. So 600 kilograms of meat potentially eaten in one sitting. That is, well, you can imagine the catering nightmare that must be. Oh dear, Viam, I've spotted something dastardly. There's a bird. Can you see the lapwings? There, that bird that just landed. You got it? That is an Indian myna, everybody. It is not supposed to be here. And they love human habitation, and somehow, somewhere, that bird has managed to find Arathusa camp. Very intelligent. A bit like a crow, really, in its intelligence. And they're from the Indian subcontinent. Anyway, I do hope they don't breed too much here. At all, in fact. They've been here for a while, haven't they? Anyway, and there may be a new bird for some of you on your bird list. It is in the South African bird book, so yes, you can count it, even though it is an exotic. That is the Indian myna. There's absolutely nothing going on here. There is a little bit of water on that side of the dam, but otherwise, no, it's very, very empty. I mean, I can't believe this. It's almost inconceivable, the amount of rain that they must have had to fill this waterhole up, and how bad the drought was really is brought into sharp relief. Righty, we'll go down towards the south and then feed our way back towards Djuma, I think. Simply because I don't know how much checking's been done in the south of this reserve today, and there were tracks of Tingana heading this way early this morning, so perhaps he's gone to sleep somewhere not too far from here. That would be nice. And our fish eagles have all gone from here. Marabou storks that used to live here have all gone from here. Oh well. Alright, Brent has found some more signal. Let's go and get an update from him. I'll probably see you on the airstrip.
So we've made our way into this area where Rexon said he saw vultures dropping. So... not sure around here, so we're just checking carefully. Now, if the dogs did come back and make a kill, it's always a good idea to go check any pans around, as they love to cool off afterwards. So I can't see any vultures at the moment. I only saw a few vultures that were going up, not coming down. We're still just going to do a nice broad check through this area. Now, that is not the look of an impala that has recently encountered the African wild dog. He looks far too chilled. Hey, mister. Yes, no, I don't think he's encountered wild dogs. Now, hi Eric in Canada. Now, Eric is wondering how many individuals can a vulture flock consist of. Now, Eric, it very much is not a group of vultures that go together. So there will be, what is that? It's just some nyala. There'll be single vultures or pairs of vultures that they normally live in, but single vultures out foraging, it's each to their own. And what happens is when one vulture sees another dive down, they all join in the dive down. Yes, no, I don't think the dogs have been in this area, just in some very relaxed Inyala through there, that relaxed Impala. Okay, well, it seems like Stef has found those vultures, so let's go have a look.
Yes, we've managed to find where these vultures have landed, and now comes the tricky part on what to do about it. The vultures are still streaming out of the sky. We've got vultures at every level diving out of the sky, sitting in the trees. Now, when vultures are sitting in the trees, when they're diving out of the sky and sitting in the trees, generally what that means is whatever's feeding on that dead animal is still on the kill. So it's approached with extreme caution. And as you can see, this bush is incredibly thick. And so we're going to need to be careful about how we go into this particular sighting. It is very thick bush. So thick, in fact, I think the only way that we're actually going to get in there is on foot before we decide if it's going to be worth sending a vehicle in there or not. But let me just show you about how far and wide the vultures are coming from. So there's one coming in there. He's a couple of 100 feet off the ground. But no matter where I look, there's another vulture. So come up with me here. Sorry, there's one right up against the sky there, a couple of 1,000 feet off the ground. And no matter where you look, they're just coming in more and more and more. Got him? I can now hear guinea fowl. I think we've got a leopard here. That guinea fowl is busy panicked at something. Alright, I think, come, let's go and have a look at what's going on here. Okay, so let's keep your eyes open. Keep your head up. That's the trick out here. So that you don't surprise a lion or a leopard lying underneath the bushes. I'm protected. I've got my stick as camouflage. So we're approaching undercover. But jokes aside, this actually can get quite dangerous. So what we just want to do is make sure that every little noise is inspected properly, every little bush is inspected. Have a look on the ground for tracks. This is quite exciting, I must be honest with you. Okay, so we've got very thick bush in front of us there. Vultures all around. Thank you very much for telling me to be careful. It's actually good that you remind me from time to time. You get this blaseness that creeps in here sometimes. And you just got to remember that this is pretty much as wild as Africa gets here. Here, if you play around, you will make a mistake that has some consequences. Okay, so let's carry on. Now Jeff, you've asked me, do vultures smell the carcasses or do they follow the predators? Jeff, vultures have got quite an acute sense of smell, but the way that they find their prey is mostly through vision. So they actually see the carcass on the floor and then they descend on that carcass. Now I'm getting a very strong smell where I am now. Smells like waterbuck or giraffe. Smells like they've been in distress. Okay, so here it's very thick, so now we must just be careful here. Now with lion or leopard, quite often they'll growl at you before you get close by. And that's why I've started to walk a bit slower. I want to be able to stop as soon as that animal growls at me. Many vultures all over the place. Larry, you say this is worse than a horror film. Not from where you're sitting, Larry, but you can see the sweat starting to drip off my body here. Right, so most of the vultures were landing here somewhere. Now lion like to kill on the banks here. Okay, a lot of vultures there. Leopard will quite often hoist their kills. Okay, we're in the middle of where these vultures are now. So now what we're trying to hear and listen for is feeding noises, growling, or where vultures are squabbling over the kill. There's definitely something dead here, no doubt. Now it's just finding it in this thick bush. Right, let's go and have a look in the riverbed. With my blocked nose, it's difficult to actually smell if anything's been killed here. I think we're going to try and walk up there. Now, D-Huz, you've just asked me if I get an adrenaline rush in situations like this. Absolutely. What you got to try and do here though is stay calm and not let those anxious feelings get the better of you, because you're going to miss something important here. So while I'm very excited inside, I'm trying to just maintain my vigilance. And this is where it gets dangerous, is when you stick your head up above an elevated position like this, because you don't have that big scary height advantage on your side. So in situations like this, I tend to talk because I would like whatever's here to know we are here. Right, still got nothing on my side. We've got all different types of birds of prey here. Vultures, eagles. Just trying to get this out of the way. Should actually take it with. Quite thorny. Simon, you've asked me, would the lions run away if they were on a kill? There's a very good chance of them doing that. Okay, stop. I got it. Come with me. Right, deep breaths. Now let me just see what is here. It's been taken into cover. So we've got a carcass there. Come with me. Those guinea fowl heard whatever was here. No, it's a stump. How embarrassing. Oopsie. Letting my imagination get the better of me here. We definitely had all the signs that something is here. Vultures, guinea fowl alarm calling, massive descending Now what you don't want to do is go charging around in here, to be honest. But what I do think it's going to do is take a bit of time to find this carcass. So what we're going to do is send you over to James. We're going to poke our nose around here a little bit. Hopefully we can find what's bringing all these vultures in for you. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back.
That's very exciting, I must say. We're going to sort of head round that direction, perhaps give Stef a hand just at the very end of the drive. We had just as Stef was finding that carcass, we had a lilac-breasted roller sitting on that little bush there, and I took some pictures of it, hoping that it would fly away. It did fly away. Have you got the bird there? Oh, there it is. But it sat so close, and it landed just in front of us as we flew by. And already you can see it's feeling quite hot and bothered. It is going to be quite a hot and bothering day, I feel. There we go. Looking for grasshoppers and things that are all around the place. Let's move along. Liam, are you taking your jacket off finally?
Oh, it's the second time.
Second time. Fair enough. It has been rather chilly this morning. Now we had further leopard tracks on the northern end of the Arathusa airstrip. Looked like a female coming this way. Nothing further, I'm afraid. They weren't, to my mind, that fresh. Sometime yesterday evening, probably of the great Shadow, who has been conspicuous by her absence of late. I'd so like to see her and find out if she did give birth or not. There were rumours of her having a den around Red Dam. We went and checked, we didn't find anything, but her tracks were going in and out of that area, and then she stopped going in and out of that area, and nobody's found any further sign of whether or not she still has a den. We thought maybe she'd moved it on to Djuma. We had lots of trackers out looking for her. In fact, on Thursday, now that was yesterday, no it wasn't. On Wednesday and Thursday we had a chap come through and do a whole lot of transects, walking through one of the blocks around about the Gari repeater, and nothing popped up. So not sure what her story is, why she's being so conspicuous by her absence. Anyway, we're heading back slowly now towards Djuma to see if we can't give Stef a bit of a hand in the last few minutes of the drive. That wasn't anything. I just panicked uncontrollably for no reason. And these roadsides are fantastic places to drive by, especially on a big main road like this one, because there are always fascinating flowers growing, especially these Vulturias. In fact, while I'm here amongst so many Vulturias, I need to do a little collection, everybody. Of course, we have to feed my caterpillars every day, Vulturias. So let's just see if we can't pick a couple of fresh leaves. I'm going to pick a whole stalk here, and then a whole lot of leaves. And you've got to be careful on these things because there are often a huge number of insects and things, and I don't want to remove anyone from its home. The caterpillars will be very grateful when I get back. You know, they all tried to escape the other day. I was feeding them once a day. So once a day they'd get fresh Vulturia, and they seemed to be very contented. And then they obviously get bigger, and they get more sophisticated in their taste, perhaps. But I got back to camp the other day, and in this big pink box in which I've got them, they were all standing on the outside, trying to leave home. So I had to put them all back in. And, I mean, they're tiny little things. They're only about that big, and I still don't know what they're going to be. But I had to put them all back in and go and retrieve them further food. That kept them inside. And now, as long as I feed them twice a day, they don't try and leave. It's rather clever, that, isn't it? Right, Stef seems to have found something around about where he was looking.
we've found the kill site, just we haven't found the carcass just yet. Hyenas just run out of the bush, literally just there. A bunch of hyenas have run out of the bush. Have a look around here. Look at all the blood, all this material here. Here's the stomach contents here. This was inside the stomach of this animal that was killed. Lots of blood here. Come look here. Michelle, you're very good at saying that there's possibly a hyena that's killed something. Look at this blood here. Oh, let's carry on looking. What we got to try and do is look for a drag mark of some sort. I think with just the level of just the ground that's been disturbed here, it just seems like this is where a hyena have killed something. Let's go and have a look where we saw those hyena. They were just here. It's so difficult, when you don't have a big carcass or vultures fighting over something, to know exactly what it is that died here. I'm just hoping that at some point I can just show you what it is, or at least we can see what it was. It looks like something of the impala, nyala or kudu size. It's nothing too big. Unfortunately, it doesn't almost warrant why so many vultures would be here, unless they're all coming down for their friends, basically. Hearing some noises in front of us here. Here's where we saw the hyena. Now it's not uncommon in these areas for male lions to kill things, and so there's very possible a male lion or leopard is still here, but we're going to have to search around a little bit more. I'm going to send you over to Brent, who's actually found one of these hyena.
Oh, the hyenas just run into the bush here. I think directly towards Stef is where Stef is with the vultures. And I can also hear a squirrel alarm calling. So there's definitely something up in this area. There's that squirrel. I think it's definitely worth a bit of an investigation from our side as well. It's in one of these really difficult areas. I think Stef's probably best man for the job in here, because as you can see, it's really thick. The hyena ran down this path here straight towards where Stef is. I wonder if there's a leopard close by. It's unlikely that that squirrel's going to alarm at wild dogs or at hyena. And wouldn't it be amazing if his career... No, I'm just trying to find a way to get in here. And you can see it's really thick and nasty, so it's probably the best man to find out what's going in there. So we both check this area. Let's go see if Stef's having a bit more luck than we are.
We're still busy walking around over here, to be honest, and I think what I'm going to do is go back to this kill site here and see if we can see a drag mark of some sort. Now what a drag mark is, it's when something has killed an animal, big struggle, initial signs of feeding, and then moved the carcass. And quite often animals will move the carcass quite simply because they need to get away from the scene of the crime. Other animals will steal it from them. Large clans of hyena, lion prides will steal kills, and so predators quite often will drag the kill away. That's what we're looking for, a sign of here. My suspicion so far is one of two things. My suspicion is either the wild dog have killed something here today, or hyena have killed something here last night. It's just too big an area for there not to be this, you know, this type of sign. And we got some vulture sketch here. So the vultures, this is where they were lying. Vulture. This is the stomach contents right here. Hopefully by the end of this drive. So what I'm having a look for over here is that quite often animals will drag kills into cover and cover it with leaves. I don't see any carcass here. Wow, what a mystery. Exciting to the extreme, but what a mystery. So just this blood on the floor, that is it. Let's go and have a look over here. The fact that this tummy contents is spread over such a distance means that this carcass was pulled this way and that. Very typical of hyena and wild dog. If it were a leopard, it's a good idea that you're suggesting that I look up into the trees, because there's some very good trees here for leopard kills. But the leopard tend to disembowel their prey, and you find all the tummy contents in one area. Lion is very similar to that. You find all the tummy contents in one area. This you can see, it's been ripped out this side and ripped out this side. It's just spread out all over the place. No bone chips, which is bizarre. That would say hyena for me. But nothing. So it's either been finished, which is quite possible, or it's been dragged somewhere that we can't find just yet. So here's the last big lot of blood that we've got right here. From here, there's not much else. This is the last blood that we have. And spread on the leaves here. So this carcass was bleeding as it passed through here. And it was down there that we saw that hyena where we walked with you just now. Oh, frustrating. Just the most bizarre mystery here. Doesn't look like anything is here. I would say that it was almost finished. And the vultures were coming down. I think the hooded vultures came down to inspect the blood that they saw, and perhaps the tummy contents, and they just sort of drew in these vultures. I don't think there's much here. We're going to carry on looking though. Hopefully we find something by a little while from now. We can open up the show this afternoon with something exciting, some new news, but I don't think that there's anything here. Not right now, at least anyway. So I just want to say goodbye. For now, we've come to the end of the safari today. I just want to say goodbye on behalf of the whole crew out here. Thank you again for all your support. Thanks for your questions. Thank you very much for joining us on this adventure. We'll catch you again this afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, have a very, very, very good day.